is just fantastic.
Captain's log, subdates 210921.4. We're going to change the Neutralo formula so that the inmates are more regular, which could help reduce their sudden and urgent desire to keister stash almost everything from their cells. Either that or they've got a kink, and we'd very much like to flush it out. Welcome everyone to the Halls of Injustice. Today we kinda welcome, kinda don't, inmates number potentially 089 Beaux Cormier to the cubes. Beaux is from Louisiana, and Beaux has quite a checkered past. We'll get to that in a moment, because I'm sure many of you have heard the tales of assassins. Not the types you'll see in Assassin's Creed, or even Hitman, nor the types that put glowing sticks into a man's tea, or long shot a moving vehicle. I'm talking of course of the usually cheap, dumb and easy to catch types. If you haven't heard of an assassin like that, don't worry, I'm sure in the Animus one day we'll get someone like that and not the same regurgitated story over and over again. And for the sake of it, we're going to talk about somebody like this today. I've already given you his name. He is not, though, the assassin, alleged. So in Louisiana, a man called Beaux has been having a bit of a tough time for most of his life, from as early as 17 years old, to simply obey the law. This earlier mentioned checkered history includes serving some time, minimal time I might add, for forcible rape of a 12-year-old family member when he was 17, third-degree rape, which is considered sex without proper consent, cyberstalking, animal cruelty, armed robbery, and intimidating a witness. We can add another charge to that in a minute, but not yet. We've got more to do here. I thought I'd add some context. So for this we go back to 2002, when at the age of 17, he forcibly raped a 12-year-old family member. He initially pled not guilty, but later entered into a plea agreement to a lesser charge of felony carnal knowledge of a juvenile. November 2004, he was sentenced to 7.5 years at hard labour, which was suspended for 5 years of supervised probation. Beaux then was ordered to pay the victim's father $820 and have no contact with the victim during his 5-year probation. He also had to comply with the sex offender registration and notification, which was for 15 years. Whereas with the charge of forcible rape, he would have been made to sign the register for life. The 2 counts of cyberstalking were for threatening and terrifying a man in July and September of 2002. In 2003, he agreed to plead no contest to one of the charges after the state dropped the other. He was sentenced to 60 days in the Vermilion Parish Jail, not to be confused with the Vermilion Pokemon Gym. But that too was suspended for 1 year of unsupervised probation. In the subsequent years, Beaux was arrested for speeding, stealing, cruelty to animals, up until 2007, where his probation was revoked for failing to attend a hearing and comply with the sex offender registration requirements. At the time, he was ordered to serve his 7.5-year sentence hard labour, with credit for time served. In the years that followed, Beaux would agree to more plea bargains that allowed him to serve time in prison concurrently, so at the same time as the other sentence rather than on top of, which I prefer. Some of the more recent charges he has faced include failing to comply with sex offender registration requirements from October 2018 through January 2019. The second is for the rape and intimidation charges the Terrebonne sheriff said resulted in the, well, what we're about to discuss now actually. One of the charges I mentioned that I briefly defined was third-degree rape of his then 16-year-old niece. Could this sound any more American? And then intimidating the victim's mother. The victim's mother is his sister, Brittany Cormier. We'll get to her in a moment. She's a hero. An accusation not long after that sexual assault of his niece came to light, and he was arrested. Because of his history and the fear this would go to court, Beaux is alleged to have escalated with the help of two friends, Andrew Erskine and Dalvin Wilson, with his genius plan allegedly being to assassinate his niece so she could not testify against him. During the month of July 2020, the three men conducted surveillance on the target home, that home being that of the niece and mother Brittany Cormier. In November of 2020, they had attempted to kill the niece then, but failed when a neighbor reported the license plate to the police. Dalvin Wilson of this dynamic duo then returned home to use Andrew Erskine's truck, and on January 13th went to go commit the murder. But this is where Brittany Cormier becomes a hero, and also at the same time proves just how dumb the assassins are, because Brittany Cormier pretended to be her own daughter, and in doing so also shut her daughter away and locked the door, so she was protected. Also in the house at the time was next-door neighbor Hope Nettleton, a friend of Brittany's, and Hope did actually manage to wrestle with one of the shooters, but was unfortunately shot fighting him off. Brittany was shot and killed because they believed she was the victim, the child. Which is interesting to me because they did conduct surveillance with Beaux Cormier, allegedly, and at no point did he bother to tell them, no, it's the one that looks more like a child than the one that looks like an obvious mother. A close friend of theirs that spoke to an outlet called The Advocate, called Samantha Lemaire, said that she would do anything for her kids, but to this extent, I would have never thought it would ever have come down to this. And just for the sake of it, there was actually one additional person in that closet with the daughter, and that was the stepdaughter, with Lemaire believing that Brittany Cormier did in fact lock them into that closet to protect them. Erskine and Wilson were both caught, arrested, and charged with first-degree murder after it took law enforcement a couple weeks to crack this case because of the license plate that was noted back in November. Andrew Erskine and Dalvin Wilson have both since confessed to their involvement in the double homicide. Prosecutors are currently, because obviously Beaux Cormier had to be arrested as well, they grasped on him quickly. Like that, prosecutors are currently investigating bits and deciding how this is going to go to trial, but they have already said there is a very strong case with this, but also a very strong case for the death penalty. It is most certainly, and I'll quote the District Attorney Joseph L. Waits Jr., but as far as the death penalty, that is absolutely on the table. All three men are currently booked into the Terrebonne Parish Criminal Justice Complex and are being held in lieu of a $2 million bond. So basically, they're up shit creek and they don't have a paddle. If they do, it's one of their fellow inmates. That paddle has a vein on it. A rather large vein. Can you guess what kind of paddle it is yet? With the case of Beaux Cormier, the prosecutors and the justice system as a whole, with everything that I've told you about him today, have utterly failed to properly deal with him. Does that mean he deserves the death penalty? That is entirely up to all of you to decide. I believe firmly he should never leave a prison cell ever again. And the other two? The same. But they can all share a very small cell with one bed, one toilet. The bed, by the way, is made out of spikes. Enjoy top and tailing on that. Think of it like Tetris, but when the bottom line's complete, it doesn't disappear, it just gets absorbed by the spikes. Anyway, as we're done, I'd like to know what you think. I will provide an update for this once I have it. Please do let me know in the comments down below. If I don't see you on Twitch, because as always, I stream over there. I hope you'll have a fantastic day. It's linked in the link tree, by the way. And thank you all very much, except for you three pricks, for listening.